Hello everyone and welcome back to my F122 My Team career mode for the Brazilian Grand Prix today. The penultimate round of the championship. We kick things off as always with the Pirelli Hot Lap Challenge. Although today it is more of a damp lap because it is raining for this one. Let's hope that does not carry over into the race weekend itself, because this circuit is already a little bit of a tricky one. A lot of unusual corners around this circuit, but we'll get into that once we get into the race weekend itself. But I've gone with the average speed zone challenge this time, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. We need to get 94.95 kilometers per hour. And already things are looking alright so far, averaging over 100 kilometers per hour. We've only got one fairly high speed corner to go, dipping down a little bit there, but we're looking pretty strong here so far as we drift a little bit wide out of the final corner. That was our second run of the three and the strongest of them all, and we go 104.71 kilometers per hour on average. Almost 10 kilometers an hour faster than we needed to, and we absolutely smashed the requirement. And you'll see on the end screen here, on all three of the runs we were well over 100 kilometers an hour average, so the gold target there well below what was easily obtainable. But yeah, I don't know how we managed that. But yeah, some of these Pirelli Hot Lap challenges considerably easier than others, has to be said, because some of them are near impossible. But you know, I'll take it when I can get it. That one was an easy one. Heading into this weekend, we have the second best car, Ferrari, still on top. Red Bull though, right behind us. So it is still a three-way fight in terms of the Drivers' Championship, with myself and Ferrari and Red Bull. In terms of the teams involved in the Drivers' Championship, I should clarify, a four-way fight in terms of the drivers involved, with myself, Verstappen, Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. But we're going to swiftly move through qualifying. All of the contenders, of course, getting through into Q2. Oscar Piastri, great pace in Q1, although it does have to be said that he used two sets of tyres. I was actually paying attention to how that session played out, and he unfortunately got severely held up on his first run. His middle sector was about a second down on everyone else's. His first and third sectors were very strong, but that meant he had to do a second run. So yeah, but that shows the pace he can have when it all strings together. But yeah, that unfortunately meant he had to burn up a second set of tyres. And yeah, he does get through and shows the pace that he can have. We move on into Q2 then though, and he's back knocked out in Q2. So yeah, the misfortunes continue for our teammate because he doesn't have that second set of tyres to get through. Max Verstappen just barely scrapes through into Q2, so a huge scare there for the Dutchman as he just narrowly makes it through into Q2. The Red Bull is not a slow car. Remember, they're third in the R&D charts, so yeah, I don't know what the excuse is for Max Verstappen. But yeah, lucky escape for him. And the guy that almost knocked him out was Kevin Magnussen in the Williams. Goodness me, that Williams has seen some improvements, it's got to be said. The Williams car is a relatively strong package, and they could be, you know, maybe looking at a handful of points here and there in these last couple of races, but they may need a couple of retirements further up the field for that to happen. But who knows, if things go their way, maybe they could nick a couple of points here and there. But yeah, Kevin Magnussen doing a fantastic job in qualifying and putting himself in prime position if there are any opportunities if cars do drop out from further up the field. But anyway, we continue to push on then. This is our first flying lap in Q3. We have 2 sets of tyres to burn up in this set. We're going to be using both of them. We did top Q2, so we do have the pace in the car to go pole if we string it all together. But the first lap in Q1 was not a clean one, and we only go P3, so we do have some time to find, and it's mostly in the first sector where we're struggling. We do need to string that center S together. Our last sector was good, so let's see if we can get this a little bit more nicely. And we do get through the center S better that time, and you can see already gaining chunks on our previous run. So we'll see what we can do on this run, and as well as it's the center S. This whole sort of this first half of the lap didn't quite come together on our first run. So yeah, there's sort of just time to find all the way around the lap. Missing the apex there, but not too bad. That won't cost us too much time. Probably cutting the grass a bit there. That probably cost us a little bit in that zone of the circuit. Now as we wind our way through this tricky middle sector, and now we've really only got one meaningful corner left. This relatively tricky left-hander. Don't get on that curb too much on the inside. You can damage the floor there, as I found out in practice. But now onto the straight. Just line it up. Open the DRS towards the line, and we actually grazed the barrier there. Wouldn't have cost us too much. But where will we qualify? We go P2. Not bad. I'll take it. But
and with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. Perez, the scientist, and Max Verstappen. With qualifying complete, all that remains now is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Yeah, it is the Red Bulls that come through in the end. Sergio Perez, after a tough run of form recently, a few Q2 knockouts, he sticks it on pole here in Brazil. And Max Verstappen in 3rd, great for his title hopes, and Carlos Sainz in 4th. So yeah, that is great for him too. He basically needs to win everything for the rest of the season if he wants any chance. Charles Leclerc down in P9, he will need a mega sprint race.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. It's Sergio Perez on pole today, and the scientist completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Sainz, Lando Norris, and Hamilton, Ricciardo, Russell, Leclerc, and Esteban Ocon, Magnussen, Stroll, Yuki Tsunoda, and Oscar Piastri, Latifi, Albon, Pierre Gasly, and Robert Schwartzman, Mick Schumacher, Joe, Ticktum, and Jehan Daruvalla. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Alright, so here we are on the grid then for the sprint race here in Brazil as we go to the 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go. And it's been a pretty good start for us. In fact, it's a great start. We get to the inside of Sergio Perez, and we're going to take the lead into turn 1. And that is a fantastic start for us as we drift a little bit wide, bit of a loss of the rear end through turn 3, and Sergio Perez reclaims the race lead briefly. We're in the slipstream though. We've cleared the rest of the field by a mile as we head down to turn 4 around the outside of Sergio Perez, and we will retake the lead as we exit and into the middle sector now. And that has been a perfect start for us. Let's see if we can hold on to it. But that has gone exactly how we wanted it to, and we have already cleared the Red Bull and put a car between ourselves and Max Verstappen. So that is absolutely ideal. In fact, Carlos Sainz has jumped Max Verstappen, so both Red Bulls losing a place off the start. That inside line into turn 1 proving crucial, and that has worked well for the even-numbered starters for both row 1 and row 2. But as we continue on, Sergio Perez is putting the pressure on as we continue to race on. We managed to defend once, but as we continue through this race, I feel like potentially my tyres are either overheating or we're just starting to struggle. We can't be struggling with tyre wear this early, so I don't know what it is, but maybe Sergio Perez just has better pace. I'm not getting into a rhythm. Whatever it is, I'm just not clicking with the circuit here in race trim. Maybe it's just these medium tyres. I don't know, but for some reason I just cannot shake Sergio Perez off, and it may even just be the fact he has DRS and is coming at me on the straights all the time. But yeah, I cannot get away from Sergio Perez, and he is always on the attack down into turn 4 and even into turn 1 sometimes. So hopefully we can get into a rhythm soon enough, because yeah, we are really not in a good rhythm at the moment, and it's this corner that's the problem. Turn 3, I cannot get a good run out of this corner, and there goes Sergio Perez down the inside. Brief moment of slipstream for us as we go for the move back around the outside. Very close there between us, maybe even a bit of contact as we try and swing it around the outside of the next corner, and we're still running side by side, but we will get the position back from Sergio Perez. Very close fighting there between us, but this is crucial. This is for championship points, remember, in this sprint race. It's not just for grid position, as we are very close there, but we will hold off Sergio Perez, and we will maintain the position, and we will keep the race lead for the time being. But it feels like it's only a matter of time before Sergio Perez makes his way through.
Tyre condition still looking good.
And somehow the car is still in good condition, as we did have definitely a couple of scrapes with Sergio Perez in that battle, as he continues to try and find his way through, and we continue our robust defense of the Mexican, and he's not able to find his way through yet, as now he's running side by side with Carlos Sainz. The Spaniard not able to make his way through yet, but he is now getting involved in the fight, as is Max Verstappen and the rest of the field. To be honest, we just don't have the pace at the moment in this Brazil sprint race. We're holding up the queue as Sergio Perez goes for the move down the inside. We go for the switchback this time, but we can't get it done, and Sergio Perez now has the lead. And now it's critical that we try and make a re-overtaking maneuver. We're fast in this phase of the track, in this middle sector. We go for the lunge down the inside, and we get the move done right away while we're still close. And oh, bit of a loss of the rear end there, as we're really pushing. Shows that we are on the limit, and we don't have much margin for error, as Sainz makes the move on Sergio Perez. So now we have a new contender behind us, and Norris making the move on Verstappen. That was a lockup for Sergio Perez that allowed Sainz to go for that maneuver, and Sergio Perez, a mistake there out of frustration probably, as Lando Norris, I think, just a plain and simple maneuver on Max Verstappen, as he may have been caught out by the fighting between Sainz and Perez, as Nicholas Latifi retires from the race with a mechanical failure. I didn't catch that one at the time, as we have a bit of a wobble out of the final corner, and now we're going to be under pressure now from the McLaren, from the Ferrari rather, of Carlos Sainz, and he's going to go for the move down the inside into turn 1. We give him the squeeze, and he is maybe going to be able to get this done. We park it on the apex there, and he's not able to get that move done, as Sergio Perez is now the one with the run, but he's got nowhere to go there, and he's looking to the inside. We give him the room as we go a little bit deep, a little bit wide, but we're able to hold on. This fighting is getting very scrappy between us. We're frantically looking backwards to see where everyone is at, but we're holding on for now. But yeah, this is getting all kinds of scrappy between the lot of us, and yeah, it's incredibly difficult to hold off this lot, this phase of the race. I'm surprised we've held on for as long as we have, to be honest. But Sergio Perez now has a great run down the inside. We pinch him all the way, and we're trying to squeeze him all the way to the apex, and he has to lift out of it, but he's still there on the inside, and he's through on the inside line once again. So we have to try this mover, stick close, peek to the inside here, and we get through. He had to give us the room on that second apex, and he sort of lifted out of it to stay within the track limits there, I think. And yeah, we were able to sneak through on the inside. So yeah, this is a tense fight, and now it's Lando Norris going for the move on us. So I don't know where he came from. Sergio Perez actually made a pit stop. He must have got some damage somewhere. I couldn't actually find where that happened. I didn't record any replay cameras from this race, unfortunately. I was going to, and then by the end of the race I'd completely forgotten about it.
Expect to see some rain about 10 to 15 minutes from now.
But yeah, I was planning to find a replay of that, and then yeah, like I said, it slipped my mind by the end of it. But yeah, now Lando Norris is the one challenging us. Max Verstappen's completely fallen away now. He's dropped behind Lewis Hamilton, but Lando Norris has cleared Carlos Sainz and now goes for a huge lunge down the inside of us, and is now into the race lead. And he was so late on the brakes there, had no chance of defending that one. And now it is up to us to try and make the move, although we've spun into the wall. And now the front wing is off completely, and somehow we're not out of the race. But
okay, you're in ninth position. Ocon is ahead of you, and gap to the car in front is 2.4 seconds. They're on old mediums. That's Stroll behind you, and the gap behind us is...
yeah, okay, well that doesn't work anymore. I tried to pause the game to stop the engineer from talking, but apparently he doesn't stop talking when we do that these days, so I'm just going to have to talk over him. But anyway, yeah, we've spun, lost the front wing. Apologies for the awkward replay angle. I tried to record a replay of that, but the actual replay camera was a terrible angle, so that was the only one I could find that could actually show the front wing coming off.
Rain is forecast in just over 10 minutes time. Rain in 10 minutes.
But anyway, yeah, now we are losing positions left, right and centre. Just lost the rear end there, and that was it. So
okay, just 2 laps of fuel remaining now.
yeah, we'll just bounce off the wall there. How that didn't rip the wheel off, I will never know. That was yeah, that was an awkward little moment. But meanwhile, up the road, Lando Norris out of nowhere will come through to take sprint race victory. What a drive, Lando Norris. Absolutely fantastic stuff. We'll come through to take P11 in this one. Not a great day for us.
Pick up rubber and bring it home.
But we're pretty lucky to finish, to be honest. So I guess I'll take it. But Lando Norris, P1.
And after this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. Well, that lead at the top has somewhat shrunk today. Let's move on to the constructors. Ferrari continue to extend the gap at the top of the table. The grid is set then, so that just leaves the race itself. Join us tomorrow where we'll be live with all the action. And until then, goodbye.
Alrighty then, let's have a little run through the points finishes and an update to the drivers' standings and move on to the race. Lando Norris took victory, of course, ahead of Carlos Sainz, Lewis Hamilton ahead of Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo ahead of George Russell, Charles Leclerc and Esteban Ocon rounding out the points finishes. Lance Stroll and Kevin Magnussen rounding out the top 10 ahead of myself and Oscar Piastri. So that is how the race played out. And then in the Drivers' Championship, we still lead the way ahead of Max Verstappen, though he's closed the margin to just 10 points. So it is getting very tight between the two of us, so it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. In terms of the Ferraris, Charles Leclerc is 16 points behind and Carlos Sainz is 52 points behind, so technically he's still a contender, but he'll need to take both race wins and both fastest laps and hope I don't score anything for the rest of the season, and that Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc also don't score much in the way of points, so that'll be a tough situation for him. But I guess we'll see how it all plays out. But anyway, it's time to move on to the race. So yeah, let's get into it.
Welcome along then to where heroes and history are made. It's where the 2008 title was decided in the very final corner. And just 1 year later, Jenson Button stormed through from 14th on the grid to claim his one and only Drivers' Championship. It's time then for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here at Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. Two very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Junsao into one of the two DRS zones will be key to any overtaking prospects today. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Russell, Magnussen, the Scientist, and Tsunoda. Verstappen, Schwartzman, Ricciardo, they've taken a grid penalty, and Jehan Deruvala. Leclerc, Ocon, Guan Yu Zhou, and Oscar Piastri. Albon, Tictum, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Pierre Gasly and Carlos Sainz. Perez, Stroll, Mick Schumacher, they've taken a grid penalty, and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box. Ant, it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Alrighty, so here we are on the grid for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Time to talk strategy. It's always a tricky one in sprint races because we don't have the 2 sets of medium tyres to play around with in the Grand Prix itself. But after experimenting for a while, I did find a good one. We're going to go softs to mediums to hards. It actually took me a while to find this strategy, but I think it's going to work for us. Everyone else starting on the soft tyres except for Sergio Perez. He'll be starting on the hards as we go to the 5 red lights. A lot of cars being given grid penalties, including our championship rivals, as it's lights out and away we go for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Great start from Yuki Tsunoda as we head down into the first corner. He moves up into P5 as Max Verstappen tries it around the outside. He's not going to get through there though, as we make our way through turn 3 Curva de Sol, and we'll hold off the Dutchman as we actually make a pretty decent exit there, and we'll maintain the position along the Reta Aposta, and we'll hold P6. Only losing 1 place off the start, not too bad, and that was an okay start for us as we make our way now through the sort of opening stanza of the race. We will see if we can pass the AlphaTauri and the Williams. Hopefully we can get past Yuki Tsunoda before DRS becomes enabled. Otherwise things will become a lot more difficult for us because presumably he'll be able to hang with Kevin Magnussen, and that will make things a lot more difficult for us. But hopefully like I said, we'll be able to clear the AlphaTauri before that becomes an issue. So we'll see how it goes, but right now we're not close enough. We had a bit of a wobble out of the final corner, and that made things lots more difficult. So as we continue on, we are very close now, so let's see if we can make the move on lap 2 of the race as we head through the middle sector, sneaking up the inside potentially as we go for the lunge now down the inside. And Yuki Tsunoda sees us coming, gives us the room. He's not going to make an argument out of that. We're not really in the same race. And
you made it look so easy.
yeah, we get the move done on Yuki Tsunoda. And now our next target is Kevin Magnussen, just up the road. So hopefully we should be able to get past him just as quickly. But Zhou Guanyu comes into the pit lane at the end of lap 2. He has some front wing damage on that car, so not a great start to the race for the Chinese driver. I guess we'll have to see how that happened. But yeah, Zhou Guanyu coming across somewhere around this circuit. Oscar Piastri going for the big lunge down the inside of turn 1, making a recovery in this race. He also had a grid penalty. The reliability on his side of the garage has not been as strong as ours. We've had great reliability, no mechanical failures I don't think. As Charles Leclerc barging his way down the inside, a very aggressive move there, and that is where the front wing damage came from for Zhou Guanyu. And yeah, you can see there no contact between the Piastri car and Zhou Guanyu, but yeah, I think we'll see on board with Charles Leclerc potentially a lockup or some other issue in the braking zone here. And yeah, he just went straight ahead in the braking zone and out of control there into the path of Zhou Guanyu as they head into turn 4. So the unfortunate little incident there as we go back on board with ourselves on the back of Kevin Magnussen. Huge lunge down the inside, bit of an unconventional place to get the move done, but we get through on K-Mag and we move ourselves up into 4th place. So yeah, next up is the top 3. We have Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris, and George Russell.
That's Russell
Lando
just
Norris.
ahead. Push for the position. Okay, gap to the car ahead is 2.6 seconds.
And Carlos Sainz up the road as Yuki Tsunoda makes the move on Kevin Magnussen behind us as well. So Yuki Tsunoda making his way forward.
7.1 seconds.
But unfortunately we just don't have the pace at this phase, and it's actually Max Verstappen who makes the move on us first. So yeah, we just don't have front running pace this weekend, and it may be a case of damage limitation this time this weekend. We do have that buffer of 10 points to Max Verstappen, and we may need to use that this weekend to limit the damage. So we'll see how it goes, but yeah, we'll see if we can keep up with Verstappen in the DRS. We could use that to our advantage, but yeah, it's going to be a tough race I think, unless maybe these soft tyres are overheating and that's what's causing us the issues. That could be a possibility, but yeah, we are really struggling at the moment. We cannot run the same lap times as the top 3. I'm driving as well as I can, pushing as hard as I can, but at the moment we're just dropping further and further back. And Max Verstappen is on a 1-stop. Everyone else, as far as I'm aware, is on a 2-stop strategy similar to myself. I can't confirm what tyres everyone is going to use, but I'm going soft, medium, hard as I said. But
our gap to the car in front is 1.7 seconds. Tyre condition still looking good.
yeah, but anyway, we continue on. Both Mercedes cars make their first pit stops, and that puts us up into 3rd place, and it soon becomes time for us to make our first pit stop. So in we come then. We'll be going on to the medium compound tyres, and hopefully these ones will serve us a little bit better. So yeah, we'll see how it goes as we exit pit lane, and yeah, just hope that this stint goes better for us, because that soft tyre stint just overall wasn't very strong as we grazed the wall a little bit there, but I don't think we did any damage there.
Just focus on the driving.
So yeah, hopefully we can find a little bit more form in this stint. We've dropped down into P9. I guess we'll just see how it goes.
You're running P9, keep going. Perez ahead. And gap to the car in front is 1.6 seconds.
And that gap to Sergio Perez very quickly evaporates as he's on much older, harder tyres than we are. I mentioned he started on the hards and he's still on those tyres. We're on fresh mediums and we have the pace at the moment, even through the Center S where we've been struggling, or more specifically Curva de Sol, and we get through around the outside and yeah, we get the move done.
You sat in P8, well done. Okay, Sainz is ahead of you. Okay, gap to the car ahead is 8.2 seconds.
Bit of a moment there through the middle sector, but anyway, we continue to push on, and as pit stops are made, we begin to gain places. Charles Leclerc, Daniel Ricciardo in pit lane there. We're up into P6 now, and as we continue to move on, we'll just continue to gain places through pit stops. I think here Carlos Sainz in pit lane as well, so
Our gap to the car in front is 1.8 seconds.
yeah, it's going to be a little bit tricky to sort of figure out where everyone is at. I think Lando Norris is also on a one stop, as well as Max Verstappen, so yeah, they've come out in front of us, so we're going to need to pass them, make our pit stop, and then pass them again if we want to win this race. So yeah, it's going to be a tricky one for us if we want to come out on top in this one. It's yeah, certainly won't be easy, but we'll see how it goes. We sit P4 at the moment, but yeah, we'll just have to see how it all plays out. George Russell into pit lane now for his second stop as we hit the brakes into turn 1, now on the back of Lando Norris. He was ahead of Max Verstappen, but Verstappen got the undercut, I think, on Lando Norris when they come in for their pit stops, because by the time they come out, Verstappen was ahead, so that's how that one played out. But yeah, Lando Norris has not let him go yet. He's still sort of within range, so who knows. Lando was pretty quick towards the back end of the previous race, so we'll see how it all plays out for them. But we're on the back of Lando now. We go for the lunge down the inside into Jun Sao, and we get the move done on Lando Norris. But he's got the DRS zone coming up, so he may be able to get us back here towards turn 1, as he's got the run down the inside, and he's later on the brakes here. We're going to see if we can hold around the outside, but Lando Norris is back through, and we can't get the move done there, so we're going to need to find another opportunity to make our way past that last corner, or the last real corner on the circuit is not going to work. So let's see where we can get the move done, potentially into this right-hander where I think we got the move done on Yuki Tsunoda earlier on. We go for the lunge there, and this time we're going to have to hang it out all the way around the outside of the left-hander, and we're still running side by side with Lando Norris. We have to lift out of it now, lunge down the inside, late on the brakes there. We miss the apex by a mile, but Lando Norris gives us the room, and we eventually get the move done on Lando Norris, and it works out for us in the end, and thankfully we get the move done on Lando Norris, and we're up into second place. And now we're in amongst the lap traffic, but I think if we make our way through them efficiently, we should be able to use that to our advantage, because we've actually made our way into DRS range to Max Verstappen, as you may have just heard the little beep there, as Zhou Guanyu retires from the race with a mechanical failure. Been a tough day for him with the damage earlier on, and now out of the race entirely, as we now close up to the back of Max Verstappen. Huge lunge down the inside into the Center S, and we actually get the move done there. So what's traditionally been a weak part of the circuit for us we've actually been able to get the move done there. So been aggressive, and we've gotten the move done. But we now come into the pit lane a bit wayward there. But we couldn't quite shake off Verstappen. We didn't have long, to be honest, between getting that move done and coming into the pits. So
perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
I did actually think about going to the end on those tyres, but we would have been dangerously close to puncture territory. And at this stage of the season, with so much on the line, I'm not going to take that risk. We actually come out of pit lane in 3rd position, so you know, we're not in a bad place as it is. And I dare say we may have a chance of running down Lando Norris anyway by the end of the race. Whether we can get Max Verstappen back, I don't know. We'll see how good these hard tyres are. But yeah, well, our first job actually is holding off Charles Leclerc, who's right behind us. He's had a pretty strong run in this race and is coming back into the fight. So yeah, we need to make sure we can hold off Charles Leclerc.
Well done.
But yeah, we are sitting 3rd at the moment.
18.4 seconds.
18.4 seconds to Lando Norris. So
okay, so we're leading our teammate by 40.3
look, Charles Leclerc down the inside, late on the brakes, and again wide of the apex. So Charles Leclerc being very aggressive today. We just about left him enough room, and I think we just about avoided contact, but that was very close there for Charles Leclerc, as Mick Schumacher is in the pit lane for a new front wing. So we'll have to see what happened to Mick Schumacher, but more front wing damage for him. But yeah, we'll see what happened to the German, as he's off the racing line there. And oh, as he run into the back of the car that was just putting him a lap down? I believe that was the case. They're now on board with Mick Schumacher, and you can hear him audibly lifting out there and then plowing into the back of the Ferrari. That was Carlos Sainz that time. But yes, both Ferraris getting caught up with both of their customer teams in this race, and causing front wing damage. Now Oscar Piastri, mechanical failure after taking a grid penalty for power unit components, and he is out of the race with a mechanical failure. That is a shame for him. He is out, as we put a lap on Yuki Tsunoda, who is running in P11 in this race. He's having a pretty decent run. He pulls out of the way though, doesn't cause any disruption for us. But yeah, it's been a pretty solid run for him after starting in P6, I believe. So yeah, obviously faster cars are making their way through, but still a fairly solid race. Not quite points today for Yuki Tsunoda, but anyway, we continue to push on.
Our gap to the car in front is 3.6 seconds.
And the gap to Lando Norris continuing to come down. We've absolutely smashed that margin that he had. Remember, that was out to 18 seconds earlier on. And with just 4 laps of the race remaining, another fastest lap of the race for us shows we still have plenty of pace in these tyres. We are absolutely flying at this stage of the race, and Lando Norris will be shaking in his little booties as we are roaring onto the back of that McLaren. And now with just over 2 laps to go, we are on the back and just about sitting under the rear wing of that McLaren. So let's see what we can do. 2 laps to go in the Brazilian Grand Prix as we head to the outside of the center S. Around the outside, late on the brakes for Lando Norris, bumping us wide there. Bit of contact and more contact and sliding for us there through the inside of turn 2. And Lando Norris holds on as we have to recover from that moment.
Mind that front wing, it's going to need replacing if it takes too much damage.
And a bit of front wing damage there for us after that aggressive bit of defense there from Lando Norris. I'm not too happy about that one, as he was very late on the brakes there into turn 1. And now we have some front wing damage to contend with, as we now have to continue this fight with a slightly damaged car, but I think we are still looking pretty strong, to be honest. The fight for the lead definitely over for us. I was hoping potentially we could you know, fight with Max Verstappen late in this race. Definitely no chance of that, but you know, the fight for second is definitely on. We've only got one lap left to make the move though, and potentially the outside move into turn 1 is our only opportunity though. So let's see if we can do it this time. Good run with DRS once again to the outside of Lando Norris, and this time it's a much better run all the way around the outside, and this time Lando Norris has no opportunity to defend, and we are well clear, and we head through the Curve de Sol, and we are through on Lando Norris, and that is the position done. We are ahead up into second position, bit deep into Descida de Largo, but that is job done, and we're up into P2, and that is critical because that mathematically puts us ahead of Max Verstappen in the championship. Once again, remember we had a 10-point margin coming into this race. Max Verstappen will pull back 6 points. We do have the fastest lap, so we'll be going into the final round with a 4-point buffer heading into the final round in Abu Dhabi. So that is critical for us as we now look to Max Verstappen. It's been a fantastic drive for the Dutchman as he crosses the line to take a race victory here in Brazil. Fantastic stuff. We will come across the line. Lando Norris almost gets us back actually, but it'll be P2 for us.
All your hard work out there. That was a strong drive and a great finish. Well done.
Lando Norris on the podium. He'll be pretty happy with that too. Carlos Sainz, driver of the day, but he'll be out of the championship fight.
We've witnessed some great battles around the historic curves of Interlagos today, and they've taken a fantastic win. So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sports that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
So it is Max Verstappen who takes race victory here in Brazil. Second place will go to us with Lando Norris in third.
Let's see how the driver's standings have changed. This result then narrows the gap between our championship leader and the rest of the standings. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
Carlos Sainz would be my first choice for this race. He had excellent race stamina, giving him the opportunity to charge through the ranks.
So then, Ferrari have now moved out of sight and out of reach. It's another triumph for the Italian team as they claim the World Constructors' Championship. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
Alrighty then. Let's have a little run through the race finishing order, and then, as always, run through the teams and drivers championships. So it was Max Verstappen ahead of myself, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, Sergio Perez, Daniel Ricciardo, and Esteban Ocon ahead of Yuki Tsunoda and Kevin Magnussen after some great starting positions, not finishing in the points for them. In fact, they were both off the lead lap in the end, so unfortunate for them, but their cars just didn't really have the pace to keep up, so they still are in need of some improvements. But anyway, we'll first actually look at the team's championship because Ferrari have wrapped things up there. No catching them, nor is there any catching Red Bull for us. So the top three I think are basically locked in. I think McLaren can theoretically catch up to us, but I doubt it. That's pretty unlikely, so yeah, I think the top three positions are more or less set in stone. But looking at the Drivers' Championship then, it's a 4-point margin between myself and Max Verstappen, so we basically have a winner-takes-all situation in Abu Dhabi. If either of us win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, we will win the championship. So it is all going to come down to the final race. For Charles Leclerc, it's a bit more complicated. He needs to win the race and hope that both myself and Max Verstappen run into troubles and only score, 1 or 2 points at max. So yeah, it's going to be a tough situation for him. Carlos Sainz has dropped a long way adrift now, and he's 65 points behind, so he's well out of contention. But it's been a decent season for him overall, and hung in there right until the last minute. But unfortunately, going into the final round, he won't be in contention. But anyway. Yeah, that is going to be it for this one. It's already been a long video, so I won't be showing any of the HQ stuff. There's not really anything to cover there because there's no more R&D for the season. It's too late to be sort of pushing for any more upgrades because they sort of won't be on the car in time for the final race. So yeah, that is it for this one. So I'll say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. Feel free to give me some feedback in the comments. It is always very helpful. And on that, I will see you next time for the final race of the season. I hope you're looking forward to it. I certainly am. It is going to be crazy in Abu Dhabi. Who is going to win the championship? Will it be myself? Will it be Max Verstappen? Will it be Charles Leclerc? I will see you then. Goodbye.